again, thanks for joining us on our monthly webinar series. We're going to be covering pumps. As the title says, age is just a number. We have Ethan Perkins joining us. Brings a wealth of knowledge to the pump game, as well as repair and protection and other solutions for your pumps. We will be sending out a 1 hour credit for attending, a PE credit. So if everybody can just send me their name and email in the chat, we'll get that sent over to you right away. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Ethan.
Morning, everybody. As Quinn said, my name is Ethan Perkins, engineer, project manager, pump shop technical consultant. Pretty long business card, I know. Like Quinn said, we're going to kind of go over basically rebuilding and refurbishing a lot of these worn out pumps that you guys experience problems with, especially with today's climate, with pumps being 9 to 1 year out, especially if you got to get them brand new. So we're just going to kind of show you some more options you'll have. So let's get it started. So just to start off with kind of a brief overview, what we're going to be talking about. Going to kind of be simple and sweet here. I'm going to talk about why you want to use Belzona. We're going to bring up some of the documentation that every single one of our coatings in our line has that will help you determine which one is best for you and also give you some evidence to back up your choices. We'll talk about internally lining some pumps, and we'll go over kind of what we rebuild, kind of how we do it as well, just to kind of give you guys an idea, get you to start thinking in your head, you know, maybe Belzona can do this or maybe they can't. And if you think we can't, usually there's a way we can figure out how to do it. So we'll segue into why use us. We are a faster and almost every time a more economical solution. You know, I've been hearing it more and more daily, especially from my pump shop clients where, you know, one, higher material cost, raw steel, cast alloys, stainlesses, especially exotic metals, are getting outrageous in cost and longer lead times. I had a client last week tell me a pump was 16 months out to get a replacement. So they wanted to go ahead and just send it to us to refurb and recoat. So things like that, everybody's dealing with, not just in the pump game, but all over the plants. So those are things we can do to help you. Our pump solutions, like we said, they're faster, fraction of the cost. Typical refurbishments, you know, for your smaller pumps, like a small Gould's F41, typically they're 60% or less. Your larger pumps, like your 38, 42 split case pumps, 40%, 30%. I've done some of them that were about 20% of the cost on rebuilds and recoats. It's case by case, but these numbers kind of give you a good average to base off of. And just about every pump job is 3 to 5 days on turnaround. Once you send it to us, once we come get it, or if you guys want to do it yourself, typically this is what it'll take, 3 to 5 days, which is much faster than obviously waiting 9 months to a year to replace your pumps. And like I was mentioning earlier, we have testing, in-field data, plenty of experience with every single one of our coatings in the line to give you backup and proof that our coatings will work the best. And it'll also help you give you plenty of things like your chemical resistance chart on the bottom left to help you determine if we're suitable for your chemicals. This one in particular is 1341. This is kind of our staple pump coating for materials that run less than 140. You'll see it has abrasion testing as well as adhesion testing on several different kinds of metals at different temperatures. Has your pull off and your tensile shear, which is what you worry about when you're going inside of these pumps. A lot of compressive strength testing. It even has some electrical property testing. There's plenty of more things on the cut sheets if you want to request some of our spec sheets and our chemical resistance charts. And like I said, all these are available to you. If you ask us, we will send you every single piece of documentation on one or multiple products in our line. So once again, that's just something we have to help back up your choices and make sure you've made the right decision when you choose Belzona. So one thing we're all known for is our internal linings on the pumps. We have plenty of ceramic filled pastes to help rebuild your pumps when you have pitting, cut water issues, everything under the sun, basically on your pump case and impeller damage wise. We can get it back smooth. And then also we have our fluid grade ceramic filled line. that will help you get that outstanding erosion and corrosion resistance when your pump's running. So basically right here, what you're seeing is our staple 1341 product in Belzona blue. But, let's say you guys have acid pumps. I get a lot of people that have pumps that run 93% acid or certain other chemicals that our normal 1341 or 5000 series can't handle. We have other products. It just depends on what you have running through the pump. If you can let us know, we can pick out one of our 120 coatings to put in your pump to help you save the asset. And also we have our efficiency enhancing coatings, which is 1341 again. We'll get to that a little later, kind of show you some case studies on that. Typically, we'll coat the casing completely, impeller, and diffusers if you have large vertical pumps, etc. So basically all wet areas. We also will coat small bearing surfaces for you if you need those coated to kind of help prevent a little issue there. Because I know a lot of times these will start to wear out on your ears and you'll start to lose a lot of water, etc., coming out of your pumps. So we have a little bit of everything for everything. And this is just another impeller that we've coated that's going to get sent out for a large split case pump. Just kind of showing you a few little things that we've done here and what Belzona can do and what it's going to look like once you get it put on your impellers and your casings. So I said we go into a little bit of study on this efficiency enhancement. We can say it all we want, but a lot of clients want to test it themselves. This was one that Gould's had done where they've taken a little 3180 pump and basically just put 2 coats of 1341 in it. So what they wanted to do was test their amp draw load on the motor before and after coating. And as you can see, after 2 coats of 1341, we went from 7.3 kilowatt load to 6.6 kilowatt load, which is a 9% reduction in the electrical consumption of the pump. You multiply that over 4 to 5 years of running life on the pump. Not saying that's how long the coating will last. I'm just giving you kind of an example. You're in the tens of thousands of dollars of electrical costs that you've reduced on running this pump, which once again, in this day and age, with the cost of everything getting higher, 9% reduction in electricity is huge. So that's just one other thing it can help you with. The 1341 also will help you with getting a little more gallons per minute out of your pump as well. So this is just another example of our typical lining we do with some typical repairs. The cut waters always have a little bit of damage just about when they come into the shop. So right here, you'll see a little before and after split shot of the same pump. As you can tell, cut water just from years of use and abuse finally had a hole cut through it where it's basically just wearing away. So what we'll do, we'll come in with our Belzona paste products and our reinforcement cloths and completely cover and reinforce those holes and the pitted areas you can see in the bottom of the pump bowl as well. And then once again, 2 coats of our Belzona ceramic. And to the right, you can see what it's going to look like when you come pick it up or when you send it back. So once again, these will add that protective barrier for you to prevent the further deterioration and erosion issues that you'll see when you just don't coat the pumps, or when your old coating that you already have in there is starting to wear out and fade away and starting to let that asset pump body get eaten. So once again, just a little before and after. That's one of my favorites to show you guys. So just start thinking about that when you guys bring your pumps down and start seeing those kind of problems. As far as the rebuild, we can do just about everything on the pump. A lot of cut water veins we get, you can see the top 3 pictures. That's before, during, and after. We can rebuild those. We have several different ways, either with our wire mesh that we can use or steel plates that we can bond down, screw in, and then rebuild over with our paste grades, and then get it back to looking new and doing its actual job it was meant for. And you can also see the ears are also being rebuilt and the suction ears are filled in nice and smooth to kind of give it that efficient flow again. And then also you'll see some impeller veins on the bottom. This is just a before, and then this is during the rebuild, just to kind of give you guys a little transparency on what it would look like before it gets coated. That's kind of why we left it at that picture. And then we'll also do some wear ring seats and bearing housing seats. I've got a few examples on that I'll show you guys later on in the slideshow. So like I said, just about everything rebuild wise that you guys would normally try to do weld overlay, we can handle with Belzona without hot work. So talk about this bearing surface rebuild. We've been doing a lot of these on your larger split case pumps mainly, where, over time, the bearing ring and the lantern rings are going to start wearing out, allowing some water to pass through and some lube oil to pass out. So just kill some of that pump efficiency. So what we'll typically do, especially on this one right here, we'll just come in, power tool prep the surface, and added about 1/4 inch total of Belzona paste and let it allow to become machinable in about 1 to 2 hours average is what you're going to see. It can be quicker if you need to set up, add heat, or use some of our faster acting products. And then they'll cut down to where we have another smooth surface to rebuild and basically give you a little more life right there on your bearing areas. And what it does that a lot of clients are liking, it's eliminating the weld overlay and the braze overlay, which on a lot of your older cast iron pumps, trying to do hot work on them is very difficult and can also lead to some other issues like heat cracking and things. So this right here eliminates a lot of those problems you can start having once you do weld overlay. And an entire job like this to all 4 bearing ring areas, typically we're doing that in less than a day. If you want to bring us on site or do it yourself, it's typically less than a day right there. Then you can either machine it the next day or machine it the second shift once it solidifies. So once again, just another thing for y'all to be thinking about. So not only do we do bearing rings, we'll talk about a little wear ring case study that we've done in-house as well. This one you're about to see pictures of, a little cooling water pump. The wear rings are basically destroyed and the whole pump had a lot of heavy wear from the service. This was in a paper mill over in Galena Park area. So a new case at the time was 90 days out, new wear rings 10 to 12 days to make. And this pump was causing one of the presses to be shut down. So basically the whole machine was down waiting on this pump or waiting on a replacement. So we rebuilt the pump case coating and we did the wear rings with the existing rotating assembly with some slightly oversized rings they had. So the total project time on this is 3 days. And let me go to this next slide and that's going to kind of show you guys how we did it. So basically they gave us that existing assembly with some slightly bigger wear rings. We bolted it back down to spec with the gasket in between it. And then the last pictures, right as we popped it off, the wear rings are redone. As you can see on the bottoms, there's always a little bit of sanding to do right here, little sanding and flush up. But like I said, this whole process was 3 days start to finish. And this pretty much saved them 27 days more of downtime. So we also do some heavy abrasion pumps, that'll handle a lot of solids, frac issue pumps, dredge pumps, things like that. You can see here, this one was suffering from a lot of damage, especially in the bowl area. So we have our paste products that are ceramic carbide filled. So as you can see, especially right here, this started to pick a spot and just start eating through to this pump. So what you're seeing is some of our 1800 series products going down on the pump bowl to kind of wear away in place of the asset itself. When you start dealing with this service, every coating is sacrificial at this point, just due to that heavy aggressive service. So putting on a good thick coat of our 1800 series for it to wear out in place of your pump is always a great idea. So if anybody's experiencing stuff like that from big solid handling pumps, it's just another tool to have in your tool belt. And then not only do we do the pump casings and impellers, we can also help with the shafts as well. I'm starting to see a lot of issues too with lead times on shafts and also cost of new shafts going up, from the last 6 to 8 months of time. So we do have some things for that as well, as far as our paste that can help form back to clearance to where the shaft needs to be, especially on bearing surfaces. We can also, if you can't get a clamp on it, we can also rebuild, machine them down. And once again, it's a fraction of downtime. So I'm going to slide into a little bit of a forming technique here. So this is a heavy duty former that was machined at the machine shop for this particular shaft. We'll use one of our 100% solid paste grades to basically apply, as you can see in the second picture, the Belzona with the shaft. And once again, all you have to do is do some sanding on this, knock the knurls off, and then it's good to go. And this typically takes 1.5 days, can be done even faster as well with some of our faster set products. And this is just kind of a little model, just kind of to show you a few different ways the formers can be made. Most of the time we'll do the one on the right with the alligator clamps. Easy to make, fast to make. If you have in-house machine shops, 99% of them can make that for you as well. Or if you need us to, we have the resources to make these as well. So let's say we have some shafts though that you really can't get out and then get a clamp in or around. We do have other means and methods where we'll take basically our paste grade and build up well above to where we need to be. And then once everything's solidified, we'll sand it back down to where your profile has to be for your tolerance. So this is just a specific one right here where a packing land bearing area basically over tightened. And as you can see, it just kind of ate itself away. So we did this in situ. And if you go to the next slide here, you can see us doing it. And basically, this is the same thing as in the bearing ring surfaces that I showed you a few slides back, where several hours later, we're able to machine this and get it back down to where it needs to be. And you can field machine it, or like we said, you could just use sandpaper, emery cloth to get it back down to what it needs to look like. And that's it right there. So a lot of this stuff can be sanded pretty close to tolerance to get you back up and running in no time. And this is just a little example of us doing it on a lathe. Oh, sorry about that. Little example of us doing it on a lathe. As you can see, shaft was pulled out. Here's a shaft being prepped. And this is just some cut scenes of it being cut down on the lathe. And right here, I'm going to let y'all just kind of see how easy it is to machine. So as you can see, it machines just like metals. There's no special tooling you need. We do have some heavily filled ceramic paste that you may need a diamond tip on your lathe to cut, but most of our paste grades are very easy to machine and machine just as good as the metal. So while we're on the conversation of pumps, I didn't want to keep it just to the impellers, shafts, casings, all that good stuff. I wanted to also talk about the foundations these pumps are sitting on as well, because we all know misalignment and foundation issues can also cause some damage to your pumps while they're running. So we can also do these foundation rebuilds with some of our concrete products. We also do offer some chalking for precision alignment, some of our 7000 series. And then we can also coat your pump bases. This red coating in particular is actually an acid resistant coating that we make. So when your pumps are running, if any acids are spilled onto the concrete or any other chemicals for that matter, this will basically protect the concrete from being eaten down under your pump base and kind of keep you guys running a little longer. And this is just another example of a metal pump base we've done that was heavily corroded from service. Just basically did the same thing we would treat it as on the casing. Blasted it, rebuilt it with some of our super metals, and then gave it some chemically resistant coating. That way, once you set this pump back down, you don't have to worry about your pump base dying out on you as well, causing further issues. So that pretty much ends our conversation here with our pump bases and our pump cases, impellers. Like I said, I wanted to keep it kind of short, sweet, kind of give y'all some overviews of what we can do with your damaged pumps, and kind of leave the floor for y'all if y'all have any questions. Either you can either unmute or add them into the chat box here. All right. Well, if nobody's got any questions, we'll go ahead and end it. I'll hand it back over to Quinn for the closeout. Quinn, it's all yours, man.
Thank you, Ethan. It's a wonderful webinar. Hopefully we all walked away with some great knowledge and some information on that. As you can see, the website, www.trustbhi.com, is a great resource. And if anybody needs us to get in touch with them, please reach out to Belzona Houston. We're here 24/7 for you. And before y'all go, if anybody hasn't, I've got quite a few here. But if anybody has not in the chat section given me their name and email, if you could, that'd be great. So I can get you this 1 hour credit signed out to your PE credit. Other than that, great webinar. And thank you for attending.